I could talk to you about lots of different running adventures that I've had over the past 23 years. I could talk to you about crossing the Libyan desert with a 35-kilo backpack and only having 2 litres of water a day through a military-barred zone, or I could tell you about running across Niger, 333 kilometres in one of the poorest and most dangerous countries in the world, and getting food poisoning in the middle of it, and then my husband asking me for a divorce in the middle of it as well. Or I could tell you about running across the Himalayas, 222 kilometres, and doing over the 2 highest passes in the world, and getting a concussion before I went, and spraining my ankle, and dealing with altitude and all the dramas that were entailed with that. But actually, I wanted to share another story today, nothing to do with running. But the reason I want to share this story in particular is because it applies everything that I have managed to learn through my extreme running adventures all around the world, the successes and failures that I've had. It applies everything that I've learned from that to a real-world situation. Things like overcoming obstacles, pushing beyond what you can imagine is possible physically and mentally, understanding what we are capable of. It's about not letting fear control your life, taking on massive challenges, and as Jake said, living your life now, because you never know when you won't have any more tomorrows. 15 months ago, my mum, who's been the rock of my life and one of my biggest supporters with my running and throughout my whole life, she's just been an absolute wonderful supporter. And 15 months ago, she had an aneurysm, which is a bleed in the brain, and a stroke at the same time. And she was left fighting for her life. Now, when this happened out of the blue, overnight. We got the phone call, Mum's in hospital, and we all rushed up there. And this was the worst experience of my life. For 3 months, she was in and out of a coma and in dire straits. And I learned early on in this crisis that we face, I had to take control of the situation as best I could in the only way that I knew how. Now, I have 2 younger brothers who were absolutely devastated and didn't know what to do in this situation, and I had a dad who's been married to my mum for 53 years, and she's the love of his life, and he was completely in bits. So I knew that it was up to me to be the one in the family, to be the leader, to pull everyone together, to give them jobs, and to take this head on, to take this challenge and do what we possibly could to make it right. After a good long period of time in ICU, she started to come around, and she came out of it, but she was left with virtually very little higher functioning. She couldn't speak more than a couple of words. The worst moment of my life was when she looked into my eyes and she didn't know I was her daughter. And as time went on, I just kept fighting for her. Every single day, I put my career on hold, everything went on hold, and 7 days a week I was down there, and I'm working through an 8-hour program with her. And I would be teaching her everything because she was in this toddler sort of state. I had to teach her to talk, I had to teach her to read, I had to teach her to write, I had to teach her everything from scratch. And now, 15 months later, the most wonderful news that this is the most wonderful time of my life. I've got my mum back. I have her back, despite all the odds. When they said that she would never come back, she would never do this, she would never do that. And we didn't believe it, and we didn't let no be the answer. And that's the message that I want to bring across today. It's about beating the odds. It's about walking in blind faith when you don't know the way forward. It's about pushing the limits and understanding the capabilities of the mind and the human body to overcome all sorts of things. And to have faith and to have courage, and to encourage people out there who are going through similar situations. This can happen to any of us at any stage. And all these lessons that I've learnt from my ultramarathon running, they weren't a waste of time, because I knew the capabilities of the body and the mind to overcome things that other people didn't really conceive as being possible. And 15 months later, my mum is now reading, writing, walking, talking. She has a little bit of balance issues. She's very wobbly on her feet, but we're working on that every single day. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful journey having her back. I get such a buzz when the phone goes and it's my mum on the phone. And she's talking to me the simplest little things. Yeah, I could talk about running and I could talk about this crazy adventure and failing here and succeeding here. But it's about believing in yourself, whatever it is that you have as a challenge for you, whether it's a health challenge, whether it's a career challenge, whether you're studying, whatever it is. Remember, this life is short and we only have one shot at it. And you have to believe in yourself, you have to back yourself when everybody is telling you it won't happen, you won't be able to do it. They aren't always right, and sometimes you can beat the odds. Thank you very much for listening to me today. Cheers.